Yeah, and also Eric Clapton does have better politics than Thom Yorke.
In this specific moment
on
of time.
Vaccines, on immigration, mainly on the issue
on
of
shouting slurs on stage.
Yeah. But look, okay. Well, now I've got into look. Here's the thing:
of properly ventilating your home.
Criticizing Eric Clapton is a high status opinion. At the end of the day, it is just, you can get a bunch of likes on Twitter by being like, yo, have you heard that this guy was racist in 1976? And everyone would be like, fuck that cunt, this evil bastard, I hope he dies. And then they'll go and listen to Radiohead while Clapton plays on stage with a guitar emblazoned with the Palestinian flag. And, you know, if you mention this...
I mean, it's nice of him to do that, but you still couldn't pay me to go to that gig. Ooh. And it's just the same with Paul Weller and his Palestine piano.
Oh, well, no, Weller's sick. I wouldn't go and see Clapton, but Weller I'd love to see again. Weller's the fucking man, all right?
I mean, my dad, like a Weller superfan, just couldn't be asked to go to the gig, and it was in Dundee, so, like...
Well, he missed out then, didn't he?
That speaks volumes for Weller as a live artist,
your dad shot himself in the foot, quite frankly, and that is not a threat to have a firing squad murder your dad. It's not. Just in case fucking John Densmore gets hold of this. What we say? Yeah. The Clapton thing, you know, whatever. It's just that at the end of the day, it's just easy to shit on Clapton, isn't it? But it's like, he's actually seen like the mass murder of children in Palestine and been like, oh damn, that's really fucked up. This makes me cry. Like, this makes me sad. I don't want this. And whereas Thom Yorke is just like, why are they criticising me?
Well, yeah, like Clapton knows all about the deaths of children.
Well, he actually does. Like, his son. I know you're making a joke about him murdering his son, but his son did actually die at a very young age. So yeah, Clapton is probably really upset when he sees children fucking dead and dying all in his TV screen, whereas Thom Yorke is just like,
yeah, like Clapton is watching it, it's like, oh, it's bringing it all back.
Thom Yorke's just like, oh,
that's why we're starting a campaign to get Tears in Heaven back to number 1 to raise funds for Palestine.
A dog shit song and a reprehensible song. But I mean, look, I don't go to... Actually, I do go to bat for that one album Clapton made in the 90s, Pilgrim, the one that's...
Of course you do. Of course you fucking do.
The one that's extremely adult contemporary, like, not like his usual kind of adult contemporary blues. It's got, like, 90s trip-hop production and stuff. It's very fucking of its... FFF, it's the Neon Genesis Evangelion one. It's the one that the artist behind that did the artwork for.
Yeah.
That, right, Pilgrim is a dope album, but either ways, like, yeah, everything Clapton has done for decades has been pretty mid, to use the phrase the kids are using, which I hate when I see old people like myself using. I always just think, fuck you, I'll fucking kill you for using saying mid. Anthony Fantano.
I'm glad we don't hang out much in person.
Bob Dylan is mid. Fuck off, Fantano, you bald cunt.
I love the idea of Eric Clapton being to his manager, so what's this Neon Genesis Evangelion thing? And I mean, well, you know, it's partly about cruel and neglectful fathers. Right, I'm in.
It wasn't his fault, alright? It's just that FFF said that. It's just to be mean to him. Just mean. It's just FFF being mean. You mean bastard. No, look, I don't know. But, going back before that, Clapton was good, man. Why do you think people called him fucking God? Because they're like, he's always been a shit musician. It's like, yeah, George Harrison hired a shit musician to play all the lead guitar on his first album.
No one's saying he's a shit musician. They're saying his music is excruciatingly dull. That's very different. Yngwie Malmsteen is a very skilled musician, but who's fucking listening to that? No, that's different
because he...
I'm not getting
apart from our co-host on the
I'm not getting like Jack and Dwight arguing, because it's basically like mum and dad arguing. It's like
yeah, because then we have great makeup sex afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but the thing is, Clapton is a completely different guitarist to Yngwie Sweden. You know, he's not a.
I'm not saying they've got identical styles.
No, he's
or
not
anything.
a show-offy guitar.
It's the same principle.
If you put him
the principle
on,
is that you can be a very good musician.
If you put him on good music, he plays
still
well.
Find an objectively talented person very boring. Yeah, but most of his own music is not interesting.
The quote directly calls Eric Clapton a bad musician. I rest my case.
Yeah, I don't think that's technically correct. But
yeah,
if someone's not making
facts.
good music, then if something's not making good music, like, you know, if Johnny Greenwood made 5 boring albums in a row, it wouldn't mean he's a bad musician.
Well, you've not heard his shit with Dudu Tassa. You don't know. He could have done.
Like me hiding in a bedroom, like you get along with it.
No, we're almost done. But yeah, no. Look, it's historical revisionism.
Not historical revisionism.
It is historical revisionism to say
different philosophies on
Clapton
music.
always sucked. Why were people painting Clapton is God on walls in London in the 60s if he sucked, if he was a shit musician?
Me, going hiding in a bedroom, playing No Mercy on Yan 64.
So Jack, will Westlife objectively good?
I don't know what you're talking about. What?
They sold loads of Westlife.
I'm not talking about selling records. I'm not talking about commercial success.
Their fans obsessively love them.
I'm talking about being the guy who Jimi Hendrix wanted to meet when he came to the UK. That's what I'm talking about, not about selling records, although he fucking did, I'm sure. I'm talking about just like people rewriting rock history to say that fucking...
But you literally just said, like, oh, you must be good because people were like, Clapton is God.
That's not true. That's not about commercial success. That's not popularity. That's status.
It's about fandom.
No, that's about holding an important place in culture.
Promise me you'll keep this in the episode. Promise me you'll keep this in the episode where you and Jack just like
very
have a
little
massive
gets cut.
argument.
I will win. We'll put it to our beloved fans, and I will win.
You no, because I know what I'm talking about here. You don't. You're just trying to express high status opinions so people think you're cool on Twitter.
Exactly. That's why this is like
So
the most.
we're somehow going to bully Jack into like supporting Israel by not liking everything.
Yeah, that's the next natural step. It's like people just...
He's going to really put out dozens of solo episodes where it's just him calling us all NPCs.
When Bob Dylan announces the Israel leg of the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour in 2025, look, I might have to make some changes to my political positions, but... this is why Radiohead fucking suck. It's that Bob Dylan wrote the song Neighborhood Bully.
Okay,
Shut the fuck up. Shut up, you fucking piece of shit. It's not played in... Let me finish my fucking point. Bob Dylan has not played in Israel in 13 years. He's not played there since 2011. That's just an example of the kind of artist who has not dedicated their life to inflaming fucking to just pissing off supporters of Palestine like Radiohead have. And so people can spit their bile about Eric Clapton, but at the end of the day,
thanks,
he has taken a far more moral stance on the genocide of the Palestinians than a lot of musicians who it's not cool and, you know, you don't get cred for shitting on. And by the way, it's been cool to shit on Clapton literally since before I was born.
Yeah, it has probably since before I was born as well. But it's still
when I came up, like, oh duh, Eric Clapton sucks was like the standard indie rock position.
Was that your first childhood memory?
My dad
his
had
first
a bunch
words.
of his CDs, but I you know.
Reading Stuart McConey on the back of a cereal bowl.
Eric Clapton fucking sucks. It was just you know, you say that and it's like, oh yeah, good, but at the end of the day.
He does fucking suck, though. Sometimes it's correct.
That's just a homophobia to use that disgusting phrase. That's
the phrase that you used first, and I repeated.
I was quoting bigots online who probably post on 4chan. Probably.
Like Eric Clapton.
People who probably post on the fucking Opie and Anthony subreddit. those kind of people use that kind of
and that sounds
childish phrase.
That sounds like you. You devoted the first 10 minutes of the show to talking about how much you love it, their radio show.
Well, it's a good show, but the point, what was the point? No, it's okay. It's just literally.
Good question.
It's literally that it's not anything new. It's not anything new to shit on Clapton, but people on Twitter think that they're the first fucking person to discover some comments he made in like 1976, and they're all so like, you say something, you just mention him, they're like, oh, did you know? It's like, yeah, I did fucking know. I knew before you knew, and a lot of fucking people knew. Like, people will occasionally bring up, they founded Rock Against Racism because of his comments he made. It's like, yeah, they did, because people were already aware of that. You're not cancelling him anew. People have already discovered this, but it's just like the same...
Well, I will say, in agreement with you, Jack, is I am about as far from a music person as you can get, and I know that Eric Clapton was racist, so therefore it must be a very passé opinion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone already knows that Eric Clapton is racist, and it's a total like passé opinion. So why are you like getting mad at people for calling him racist?
Because they want to defend Thom Yorke.
Do they?
Yeah, because it was some guy. He was like about Thom Yorke. Every generation has its own Clapton.
Yeah, like
I
in like this argument starts about like Jack saying Clapton wasn't a good musician. Whereas I am on Jack's side, where I thought Eric Clapton did have some good songs.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I mean, in like a 60-year career, you would hope, yeah.
No, they're all concentrated in the first 5 or so years of his career. Like, that's the thing. Can't people be grown-ups about that and fucking admit, yeah, he was really good for a bit, and then he was mediocre for the rest of his career? But they act like he was just going out with a swastika on his arm and goose-stepping at every concert for 50 fucking straight years. People got really offended when an article said when Clapton when Clapton was doing the anti-lockdown songs, people got fucking outraged that this article said in the headline, Eric Clapton always avoided politics. Now he's getting involved. It's an objectively true statement. He had never made political music. He was drunk when he said the racist stuff. He was fucking... The plan wasn't... it was a gig. It wasn't a rally. It wasn't a rally. The plan wasn't, I'm going to go on stage and say racist stuff. The plan was, I'm going to go on stage and play music. But he was so drunk, and yes, he was racist. But that does not mean that he has spent his career propagating racist ideas.
Right, so Jack, the tweet you're getting mad about literally read, every generation has its own Eric Clapton. So that posits that the version of Eric Clapton they are comparing Thom Yorke to is the 1976 Eric Clapton on stage being incredibly racist. Or at least the Clapton of that rough era, as opposed to like Clapton today or Clapton in the 60s when he was the hot young thing.
Clapton is alive today, and he's expressing a principled and decent stance against the genocide of the Palestinian people. So how about that guy? That guy could train his fire.
Every generation has its own Eric Clapton, and saying that this generation's Eric Clapton was also Eric Clapton. They weren't saying that.
Well, that guy could possibly train his fucking fire on the people who are actually supporting the genocide, perhaps.
I mean, he was. The tweet was an anti-Thom Yorke tweet. You're just getting mad because he did a slight dig at Eric Clapton for stupid shit he's done in his past.
The best defense I have of Eric Clapton is like, Eric Clapton, like, you know, he's in Cream, he did Layla. Fuck did Thom Yorke do? He's not done any song as good as Layla.
Exactly. But no, instead people want you to think like, oh yeah, when George Harrison couldn't think of a good guitar solo for While My Guitar Gently Weeps, he was like, you know what? I'll get a guy in to play a guitar solo who fucking sucks, who everyone hates, and then everyone will hate the song While My Guitar Gently Weeps for the rest of history.
You're right, you have to like understand like how Jack saw it. It's like people like was comparing Thom Yorke as a musician to Eric Clapton as a musician. It's like, yeah, Eric Clapton has done a lot of bad shit, but he's done good shit too, whereas Thom Yorke has not done any good shit.
Good shit. Yeah, no, I'm just... No, I'm talking about the music. Purely about the music. But this is, you know, it's a part... It's... You know, stop getting James Bond wrong. Stop getting classic rock wrong. And I know I got that quote wrong. It's Stop Getting Bond wrong, not James Bond. But, ultimately, look, I live and breathe rock and roll. And you get these fucking effectively colonizers, people who are nerds, who they post on the internet, they probably play video games, they talk about politics on the internet.
They probably listen to Radiohead.
We're
probably going to lose some
wrestling
Patreon subs the second this drops.
They listen to Radiohead, but they're not rock and roll people. You know what I mean? They don't. This is my culture. This is not their culture.
That's why I'm like, Jackie's going to edit this, and it's all going to be about him winning the argument.
There's no need to edit an argument that I have already won. But there's, these people.
We'll put it out unedited, and we'll let our listeners be the judge.
They
of that.
get on my lawn, and they're just being. She's just little shits, just talking about stuff that I know about, that they don't know about, that they don't have any affinity with, and it's like, I take classic rock history seriously. So for me, if you just say, oh, Eric Clapton always sucked, then that leaves this fucking big hole in the fucking history of 1960s
I mean, I don't
rock.
think I said that. I just said most of his shit was incredibly boring.
No, you didn't say it.
Words to that
you
effect.
didn't say it. And look, I've admitted myself that most of his music is incredibly boring. And
So what's the disagreement?
The disagreement is a small pocket of time in the late 60s and early 70s. That's the terrain that we are currently fighting.
I mean, my view is that he was fucking boring by the early 70s, but
no, he was.
Like, the general principle is the same.
The Layla album is in 1970, and then because he was so upset that George Harrison's wife hadn't left him for him, he just stayed at home doing heroin for 3 years. And then when he came back, everything after that is mediocre, is middle of the road. No, it's not bad. It is the most mediocre music ever. It's very pleasant.
But when it's that level of mediocre, that's worse than being like actively bad, because at least the bad songs can be funny.
Well, I suppose that's true.
It's worse to be boring than to take creative risks and fail and fall flat on your ass.
That's why I'm more of a Van Morrison guy.
That's
why I'm more of a Van guy than a Clapton guy. But it's not like, I did listen to his new album earlier just out of spite, but it's not like I spend every day listening to Clapton, It's just,
I can't believe,
a few times a week.
I can't believe I'm listening to this shit when I'm like supposed to be messaging a girl and like.
Yeah, you're supposed to be doing that. Yeah, right. He's just looking for an excuse.
We'll make a Radiohead fan of you. Yeah.
He's just looking for an excuse not to have to do it. Clearly, no. I think we've basically come to the end of the argument here. It's just.
Yeah. You're in a losing position.
Well, no. Now my victory is secured. I think.
Yeah, this is basically Plato versus Aristotle. You're both convincing.
Yeah. We need to think of a good wrestling argument to have tomorrow to try and match that.
Well, but here's the thing about like the Thom Yorke has worse politics than Eric Clapton tweet, and I'll try and be brief.
I mean, right now he does, yeah. That's not really disputed.
There would be no point in tweeting
today.
it if I'd said somebody who is known for having good politics. If I'd have said Brian Eno has better politics than Thom Yorke, it would be like, well, yeah, obviously, why are you even saying that? But when I was literally quote tweeting a tweet that I'd done like during the election where I said Thom Yorke has worse politics than Noel Gallagher. And I'd chosen Noel Gallagher for that one. We've already heard Liam's great views on Radiohead. We know Liam talks sense. I said Noel because of his terrible political views. So actually, I was almost indulging the idea that Clapton is a guy with bad politics. So,
but then just getting incredibly mad when anyone else suggests.
Well, because they don't have the heuristic view of this
I've listened to thousands of hours of Eric Clapton. I'm allowed to call him
maybe
bad.
Hundreds.
You've only listened to quite a lot of him passively through your lifetime. You're not allowed to. You're a dilettante.
They don't make the effort to understand him. They just dismiss him out of hand. And it's not funny like when FFF does it with Radiohead, because all serious people because serious people always give Radiohead albums 5 stars or whatever. So there's not a load of people who aren't like morons out there shitting on Radiohead, and so it's funny and refreshing to hear FFF do it.
I just have to say, like, I do like the fact he said it was funny when I shit on Radiohead.
It is funny. Whereas, it's like someone's like, oh, by the way, Eric Clapton, that dude's racist. It's like, oh, really? Damn, I'd never heard that one before. But no, the thing is, the most annoying thing that Clapton detractors will say is when I point out he has a good stance on Palestine, someone's like, oh, that's probably because he's anti-Semitic. And it's just like, oh, fuck off. Fuck off, you little shit. Maybe he just doesn't like seeing children murdered.
I mean, he's had a lot of bad views in his life, but is there any incidences of him being anti-Semitic?
Not one that I can think of, you know. I've not read his memoir in a bit. Maybe he's like...
Yeah. We're not treating it as gospel. Like, he might have some thoughts that we're not
familiar with. It'd be funny if I get my
like...
CD out of the latest record project and look at the... I do actually own it on CD. I look through the credits, I'm like... It's like they own the media. Eric Clapton, lead guitar. But no, I don't think... By the way, Van appears on 3 different songs on Clapton's new album. And they are all anti-lockdown protest songs from 3 years ago.
Oh, yes. That's sure to date it.
But because people, they're just like, Clapton, he's like, you know, Hitler reincarnated. They miss on how, like, hilariously half-assed his career is. Like, this is the first album of new shit he's done since...
Oh, so if Hitler was lazier, he'd be fine. Is that what you're saying, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, he would have killed far fewer people. Like, if Hitler was lazier, I mean, that would have... I mean, can we really argue?
You need lazier evil people.
Yeah,
you can literally get Jack to say anything if he thinks he's defending the classic rock guy in doing so.
Can we really argue that it would not be a better thing for the world if Hitler had put less effort in? I don't see the case for how what I said there was in any way wrong. I think Hitler should have put much less effort in. I think it would have been good if he'd have never written a book, if he'd have just sat on his arse in prison, you know, just chilled for a few years, got out, did some shit paintings and fucking died. Would that not be better for everyone else? Whereas Geraint apparently wants Hitler to have just, you know, put the pedal to the metal and just taken things into overdrive.
Jack, what was he in prison for?
Well, I assume some kind of Nazi bullshit.
Does anyone remember how this argument started?
Yeah, I brought up Eric Clapton.
I criticised Eric Clapton once.
And now it's like, which like, who's the bigger Nazi?
Now it's like a more convincing feud than when we had like a deliberate work feud.
Yeah, because I live and breathe classic rock. This is life or death to me.
You do, and we're trying to stage an intervention.
This is life or death, life and death, whatever the phrase is.
Mainly death.
This is death. This is death for me.
A living death.
A living death. A fate worse than death.
Like listening to Real Politik.
That's basically that's basically the thing.
FFF, you were going to tell us why you had 60 cigars.
Oh yes,
show support for Israel somehow. The thing
I don't know, like
no. Come.
Sorry, Jack. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say a minute ago, but yeah, like half Clapton's new album already came out like 3 years ago. It's so funny how half-assed it is, and the picture is just him sitting in a diner looking like an old bloke who's just been fishing.
There's probably a very good reason for that. Right? That's probably exactly what happened.
I respect so much the tiny amount of
my
effort.
mum's...
something about this being a podcast. Then we got like the final, final take.
It's the best podcast ever. Like, was just constantly arguing between you and Grant.
I was trying to get like an Opie and Anthony sort of thing going on, like Anthony Cumio versus Bill Burr on race. That was a good video. Can you guess what position Anthony was coming from on that? Got some more archival shit to release as well. Got thing of us talking about.
Did we get that Eagles stuff out yet?
Not yet, but I might release that while I'm up in Bristol.
Nice.
Yeah. I might have.
Archival of you arguing with Grant really angrily.
Yeah, I'd probably have to put that on Patreon.
No, that's box office.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll put. It depends how long the Radiohead bit goes on for, because, you know, like slagging off Thom Yorke is the main political agenda.
It's any like a Radiohead song, it'll go on for fucking 17 minutes and say nothing.
Isn't their longest song like 6
Yeah,
minutes?
I was like, they don't have long songs. They don't have, then just killed myself. I was just like, no, stop that.
My most controversial Radiohead opinion is that Paranoid Android is not very good.
Yeah, my most
I like
controversial.
most of the album that's on, but like that's the highlight song for most people.
Ooh, what if I do a album about computers and have no good songs on it?
I mean,
well, it's right there in the name. It's okay.
Yeah,
computer, but
it's
good
mid-computer. That's what the kids
computer.
would call it these
All
days,
right.
mid-computer.
L computer.
Then they go off and support Hamas or something, become trans.
Kids these days.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, we made it through the Clapton argument. We made it through the.
In a brisk 2.5 hours.
You can retreat now with your bruised pride and regain your energy for whenever we next record.
Hey, we made it about A-Up Lovely. God knows what's going to happen when he's on.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Yeah, maybe you've got to sit that one out there.
If he's on his best behaviour, I'm just going to ask him what he thinks about Clapton.
Interesting.
It might backfire.
Yeah,
it'd be like,
he might just
Clapton
hates Israel, so I think he's great.
Yeah, ask A-Up Lovely what he thinks about Radiohead, and then just get your final fucking showdown between me and him.
No, I don't think he likes them either. He's yeah. Well, I was definitely going to get him on a bit of.
If he does, he's quite prepared to act like he doesn't.